Picked up some really interesting vintage cricket cards and memorabilia, and wanted to go through those with you guys today. This is not all one kind of order. This is actually like several different ones that I've gotten over the last couple weeks that I kind of saved up for one video. So I hope that there's something in here to interest you as you watch this video. So the first one, I showed the double-sided Bradman cards in an earlier video. There's 5 different Bradmans, but I actually didn't have any of the other cards from the series, and there is Clary Grimmett, who's one of my favorite guys to collect. So saw this one, nice condition, and wanted to pick that up. I really enjoy the 2-sided cards. I think it's cool to see, who the other star athletes or, really awesome competitors of the day are. So that's a rower named Pierce. Also picked up, again, I had a couple other cards from this set, but I did not have the Larwood from the Allen Steamroller, and really sharp picture. Hadn't really thought to pick this up, but I saw the guy was selling it and figured I would grab it. I like what it says on the back as well. Here is a Hutton card that I did not have. This is from the 1947 Radio Fun. Not an early Hutton, but I like to collect his stuff, so figured that one needed to get into my collection. This was probably the main thing I was looking to get out of that from that seller, and these are 2, I believe, rookie cards of VJ VM Merchant, who says it right on the back. At the time was probably the most feared batter in India, the Bradman of India. If you look at his career stats, I think he averaged like 75 or 80 runs in first-class cricket. He didn't do as well in the tests, but he still did really well. Just a really awesome player, and he doesn't have a lot of cards. I think this is his earliest card, so this was on my list to pick up, and I saw a guy had 2 copies of it, so figured I'd grab those and these other ones all as part of a package deal. So was glad to grab those ones for a good price. All right, now for some kind of bigger, more rare cards. This is one that I had been looking for a while. I had been asking around different sellers to see if I could pick up a copy. Even in poor condition, I would have been happy to get one. But I ended up getting a perfectly centered, really sharp corners, clean on the front and the back version. This is the Griffiths. There's several different backs. There's a Cruising Toffee. There's, I think, 4 or 5 different backs of Griffiths that you'll see. But Hutton was only on one. So only the Cruising Toffee had a Hutton card. And these are all pretty hard to pick up. So I think the Bradmans, in the Jody Bridges book, all the Bradmans are R8 to R10. So they're all rare. The fact that there's only one Hutton, this might be his rarest rookie card. I've got the Hoadleys, I've got the Allens, and there's this shared image that I just think is probably my favorite image of Hutton. This like very iconic. It's almost like the NBA symbol, right? Or the just the iconic pose that I just love. So anyway, I picked up the Hutton rare rookie, and I actually wasn't even really looking for this. I didn't really know that Compton was in this set, but there's actually a Compton too. Was able to pick up very early Compton. So rookie for Compton and Hutton. I think Compton was only 20 at this point in 1938, and Hutton was maybe 22. So really young guys at the start of their Hall of Fame careers. Hutton ends up becoming one of the greatest batters of all time. Compton, one of the greatest celebrities in England, considered a really social and handsome guy, but also a great cricketer, Hall of Fame cricketer, great big-time celebrity, and also a first-class soccer player. So really distinguished career there. And then speaking of Hutton, in 1938, Hutton had a monster score of 364 runs, and this is a postcard commemorating that. So this was probably issued in late 1938, maybe early 1939. It's hard to say, but sometime around that time. And this was an unused postcard where it says Leonard Hutton creates Test cricket record, England versus Australia at the Oval, August 23rd, 1938, 364 runs, and then that's a signature by Hutton. I thought that the image here too is really cool. It reminds me of the Ardath cigarette cards, the way that it was printed on here, photo imagery. So yeah, that was a really, really cool one to pick up. Was very, very glad to grab that. And then this is a little bit of maybe an interesting piece of history. This was a newspaper clipping, I guess, from 1961, but it looks kind of like a card. And I just don't have that much of Constantine or the other kind of early West Indies greats. So I saw this one up for sale pretty cheap, and figured I'd pick it up and just add it to my Constantine collection. So that's pretty cool. You can see he, I guess he wasn't knighted yet, but yeah, soon to become Sir Leary Constantine. All right, now on to some more stuff. I showed in an earlier video the Don Bradman Flicker book. The one that I showed before was book number 1. This is actually Flicker book number 3, and very similar except 2 different shots. So book number 1 had 2 other shots. This one's the leg glance and the pull. This is in pretty nice condition, other than you could probably see it. The cover is not in good shape, and that's because you'll see a lot of these will have a rusted staple. But you know, the shot itself, I just thought this was really cool. The way he gets up for the high ball, and you got to get on top of it in cricket. It's not like baseball where you can just try to hit it high. So you need to hit it toward the ground, make sure that you're going to get it past the fielders and get it to the boundary. And then on the other side, I just love these. Again, you know, I mentioned this in the other video, but this was before you had TV, you know, so for people that are trying to understand the greatness of the players or to learn different shots, it's pretty cool to just be able to watch the greatest of all time perform some of his most iconic shots. All right, so there is a lot of good stuff in this stack. I want to take it out, and I'll pause the video here for a second. I'll get it out here to glance at. These next few items have a theme, and that theme is Herbert Sutcliffe. So you can see Sutcliffe up here looking dapper. This was at the very start of his career. This on the back, it says it's 1922. This is the Yorkshire team. You've got another Hall of Famer at the bottom, which is Wilf Rhodes. So, you know, you've got Sutcliffe, who is just starting an absolutely dominant career, batting with Hobbs. So Sutcliffe and Hobbs would go on to really just have a very, very dominant partnership. Hobbs was already a little bit later in his career there. But you know, they really did have, I don't know, about 12 really strong years that they got to bat together, maybe a little less than that. But, you know, Sutcliffe's rookie card's 1922, so this is around one of his earliest, you know, memorabilia items that you'll find. So I thought that was really cool, even though it was, you know, used and written on. Pretty neat to pick up an old Yorkshire postcard. This one is from a few years later. I believe it says, yeah, 1925 on this one. Again, you've got Wilf Rhodes near the bottom right. And there is Sutcliffe near the top left. This one is not used. But yeah, that's really cool. So, you know, you've got the 1922 and the 1925. But then these are the really cool ones. So the seller had these listed on eBay. I asked him a lot of questions to try to figure out I really know what I was buying. And I was convinced enough to buy them. So this is a picture, photograph taken in India by Sutcliffe. And this is apparently definitely his handwriting on the back. So this was a tour that Sutcliffe and Hobbs went on in 1930 to India. And I believe this would have been their first trip to India. I need to do a little bit more research. If it was their only trip, I'm not sure. But these were Sutcliffe's personal photographs, and there's a whole stack of them here. But, you know, Sutcliffe obviously was very taken by this country, which was very different than what he was used to. And I guess at the time it wasn't even really a country yet because it was under British control. But yeah, this is the Ganges River. You know, this is still a popular tourist attraction, which is a little bit crazy. The cremation of bodies right on the Ganges. But some more photos of India, again with Sutcliffe's, you know, personal handwriting on these. And then so I'll kind of speed through the rest of those. Again, Sutcliffe pictures, because there's a couple additional ones in here that I thought were pretty neat. This is from Sutcliffe's personal collection. This is actually a picture of him, and on the back it says he's at the Royal Colombo Golf Club in 1930. I'm not sure who the guy is that he's with. It looks like Taura, perhaps H. Taura. But yeah, a couple photos of him at the golf club. Here's him with the club, and I'm not sure if there's much detail about this one, but again, just an old photo. And here's a third one of Sutcliffe, this time hanging out on a boat of some sort. I just thought these were pretty cool. A real piece of history here, with this trip that Sutcliffe and Hobbs went on together. This gentleman looks like he was the Maharaja of, I can't see what that word is. If you know what that says, let me know. But Raspapla, it looks like. And this is again 1930. And then this picture is kind of cool. The second person from the right, I believe, is Mrs. Hobbs. So that must be Jack Hobbs's wife. There again, you know, Sutcliffe and Hobbs went on this trip, and they must have been doing some sightseeing together. It's interesting to wonder, you know, who are the people that actually took some of these photos. I wouldn't be surprised if if maybe Hobbs took some of these photos of Sutcliffe, considering Sutcliffe's in the pictures. But yeah, so pretty cool piece of history, a little bit obscure, but I've actually been to Jaipur before, so familiar with some of these sites. Been to Rajasthan and to a few of the places in here. So kind of cool to see that history of Sutcliffe, and you know, I just think it's kind of crazy, right? Like, this is actually his handwriting and some memories from him, and you know, it sounds like maybe some of his ancestors have been selling off some of his stuff, and just lucky to get some of it into my hands. All right, so stepping away from Sutcliffe here and moving on, here's a postcard from the West Indies team with a lot of star power on it. You've got Weeks, Kanhai, Sobers, Walcott, and a bunch of other great players. But let's see if we can zoom in on. Yeah, there you go. So there's, you know, Kanhai and Sobers and Weeks. Just some really awesome players there. Moving on, here is another really cool postcard. This is the Australian cricket team from 1934, and I'm guessing that this might be the only one in the world, maybe not, but only one in the world that has the Aussie team on one side, and then you've got the English team signatures on the other side. Just a really kind of interesting item. You've got Patsy Hendren, you've got Jack Hobbs. I've got to go through the other signatures in a little bit more detail, but you know, just having a 1934 postcard with the Aussie team, and then you've got these signatures of the England team. Obviously, this was probably bought around the time of the test match and probably brought to the grounds and had the guys sign them, either at the hotel or at the match or after the match. Just a cool postcard too, right? You've got Grimmett in the top right. You've got the giant man in the middle, O'Reilly. You've got a bunch of great players, McCabe, in the lower right hand side. This is going to be a long one, guys. There's not too much stuff left, but there's just some cool history on some of this. This one I won't go through for very long, but this is a limited edition phone card from the Cricket Memorabilia Society. It's the W.G. Grace phone card, numbered out of 1,000, and there's some pretty cool stuff in the phone card picture, including, you can see the 1896 rookie, you can see the Godfrey Phillips, the Stamina, the 1901, and then on the left side there, would love to learn more about that one, because that looks like maybe a CDV or something, but a very younger picture of Grace. But cool phone card there in its original packaging, and just some neat kind of ode to Grace on the back as well. This one is really neat. This was a big innings that Jeffrey Boycott had. You can see he scored 260 in the first innings against Essex, and he signed this one. So this was from, where does it say? July 1970, official scorecard, which I think it's a little bit interesting. It's like sponsored by Ford, I guess. I guess Ford was trying to sell a bunch of vehicles in England at the time. Next up, this was a photograph of Jeffrey Boycott's 100th 100, so his 100th century, and he signed it. And I don't know the history. Please let me know if you think that this is an original or if this was a print. But it looks like a newspaper photo, and I just think this is a super cool moment. Where Boycott just got his 100th century. And coming out to the crowd's going nuts. Just a really cool shot. This was a dinner from 1950, and the toast list included Constantine, so I thought that was kind of cool. But the main thing that I was excited about was I had never actually had the chance to buy a Constantine signature, and he signed it here on the back in pencil. But yeah, so I guess an important dinner for that era, and was cool to get his autograph on that. These are some more press photos. So this one, you've got Worrell in 1963. Nice cut shot. Here you've got Grimmett. I don't know what year this is. He looks a little bit older, I'm guessing, but he always kind of looked old, so it's hard to tell. This might have been the 1930s, but this was pretty cool. Like, you got to assume that this is an original press photo. Why else would they be writing all over it like that, unless trying to get it into a newspaper? Here you've got another original press photo, this time of Weeks. I love the angle on this one, taken from the ground, looking up at him, obviously making a good stroke. You got Canhigh. This paper is thicker, so I'm not sure why this is on a thicker paper, but another one that seems like an original press photo. And then look at the size and awesomeness of this one. Back to Sutcliffe again. You're never going to get away from him for too long. Hobbs and Sutcliffe. This is definitely frame worthy. It's just awesome. And then a press photo of Constantine, which I do not know anything about this shot. I do plan to try to figure out, what's going on here. you know, this is Constantine. You can see it at the very top. His name's written. But you know, Constantine played in the in England, so I'm guessing that this was from the county cricket that he was playing, but really don't know much about it. What era this would have been too? This probably would have been the 1930s, I'm assuming. If you know anything about it, let me know. Here's another scorecard. This one, England versus India. And, you know, some nice scores by some of the Indian batters. You know, you've got Engineer who had a 42 and an 87 in the 2 innings. The Nawab of Patodi, I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name, but he scored 64. So some of the great Indian players at the time. You've got Bishan Bedi here, who was bowling, and also, you know, got to bat for a duck. But really the star of the match here, Boycott with a 246 not out, opening batter not out. And Barrington got 93, so nice match for him. And Graveney, you know, got his half century as well. And again, it's not like they were facing terrible bowling. Like, you've got Hall of Fame bowlers on that side. But yeah, Boycott with a monster. This was 1967. This is the original scorecard. And the guy I buy these off of, you know, he belongs to Yorkshire County Cricket Club, so he's able to get some of these things that I don't think that you'd be able to get if you weren't connected to an old club like this. But yeah, Boycott signed this one as well. He signs a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of his signatures now. And then the final thing, again, speaking of Yorkshire Cricket Club, this is a more recent picture, but pretty cool. You've got an early Sachin photo, and this is quite a large item. You know, you can see compared to a postcard, a really big. You know, I guess this was like the club picture that might be hanging up somewhere, or like as a maybe a small poster or something. But yeah, got Sachin down there. I don't know who any of these other guys are. Sorry if I should, but just excited to have that for the history of that. And that's it, guys. You could probably tell I'm very excited about this stuff. I just think it's some of the more unique items I've had a chance to track down. And yeah, the Sutcliffe photos and this giant Hobbs Sutcliffe photo, some of these West Indies photos, Grimmett, Constantine autograph, some cool Boycott stuff. Just a pretty cool set of memorabilia. Hope you enjoyed watching. I'm going to make another video soon with some more modern cards, but just wanted to show some of this vintage stuff, which probably still my favorite.